Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Great Wizard Bukake, your host. Romance and mysteries are plaguing Assguard. Quinny finally got down with Vinten Charlamagne. Juniper and Reginald determined a group of attackers killed the Demarran escape team outside town. And Butthole found out an ambassador is missing while scheduling his first meeting about a magic school. Will the team be able to recover the ambassador from Baldur's Gate and bring them back alive? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons!
Quinny, you awake tired, content, in a room full of broken furniture. You find yourself alone in what's left of Vinten Charlamagne's bedroom. You have vague recollections of exactly what happened where, but, things were happening so quickly and so effectively, since you brought your A game, having had that nap, you're left with mostly just an afterglow of an evening well spent. And you didn't get murdered. So, that's a bonus. There's still the matter of the dead Longadon geese and the attempt on Vinten Charlamagne's life, as well as the attempt to erase the assassins with the Jekyll and Hyde potions. But for now, at least, you found a small moment of peace in an otherwise chaotic time, particularly balancing all of the new political intrigues that are so deeply against the way you operate. The room is yours. You can hear a clattering of utensils downstairs and sort of some banging around in the kitchen, as well as occasional very exotic curse words in a language you don't fully understand. What do you do?
I'll get up and try and find my clothes and get dressed.
Yeah, it's a little bit like having to jump up to like pull something that's sort of stuck on
the fantasy equivalent of a ceiling fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I think is just a ceiling fan, but yeah, exactly. So you managed to kind of recollect everything.
All right, yeah. I get dressed and I'll head downstairs to see what's going on with all the clatter and cursing.
Great. You're immediately assailed by a cavalcade of smells of various foods cooking, as well as Vinton, who is back to wearing her supervillain robe. And just as disheveled as you are, clearly kind of like woke up, threw on the robe, came down, and you see her just throw an eldritch blast at a pan, and it just like blasts scraps of bacon against a wall. She's like, fucking just sizzle, stupid. And then, a pot starts boiling. She rushes over, she touches it with a bare hand, yells, jumps back, like casts around for something, and then sees you walk in. And it's really... you've literally seen her with her pants down, but it's like you caught her with her pants down, where it's just someone who is normally so very capable is absolute shit at cooking. And she just goes, hi.
Good morning.
Breakfast.
Can I make you some breakfast?
Do you know how to cook?
I'm a halfling who grew up on a farm. I know my way around a kitchen, yeah.
All right, yes, thank you. I don't know. I heard this was a thing people do, and you kind of been through it. I assumed you hadn't really had a proper meal, so I thought I would do it, but it is very difficult, I think. Or maybe I'm just not patient. Both of those things are true.
It's not something you learn overnight, that's for sure. Give me about a half hour here. I'll put something together and then we can eat. But then I'm gonna have to head back to the castle. A Minister of Culture's work is never done, it would seem.
Hey, I understand. And look, if anyone asks, I kicked you out right afterwards. I've got, she kind of runs a hand back through her hair. She's like, I got a reputation to maintain. Don't tell anyone about this.
No, you got it. I slept in the garden, broken and beaten. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
No problem.
And she gives you just an affectionate squeeze on the shoulder as you move past her, and then kind of like catches herself with like and just like looks around in a panic and is like, Chompy, go feed, and just like books it out of the room.
What the hell?
As she leaves, she's like, what the hell?
Yeah. Quinny still doesn't know. Can I hear that one more time?
I said she's got feelings.
She does.
Can you say it the same way one more time? Just hype it.
Yeah.
I don't
love the
know
way
if
you
I
say this
can.
stuff.
That was so like instinctual. She's got feelings.
There we go. There we go. That's the soundboard button you want.
Quinny does not know that there's evidence exonerating Vinten Charlamagne.
Nope.
So everything this morning and last night has like double meaning for him of like, like the squeeze on the shoulder and then the drawing the hand back of like, was that just an attempt on my fucking life kind of thing of like, or like, is she like, did she just break cover for a second? And it's just everything's kind of second guess. Like it's nice, but also it's too nice.
For a spy who loved me shit.
It's just, there's just an element of like, I got to keep my head clear. I got to be above the mess of like feelings and things like that. I have a job to do and we're not clear of this yet. But he'll set that aside for now and go about making a modest breakfast.
Excellent. So you put together and again, as growing up with Ford and Penny as your parents, like making a modest breakfast is, you might as well still be sleeping. You can do this in your sleep. Really, the only impediment is how badly Vinton has ruined most of the cookware in this attempt. It's clearly the first time she's tried to cook anything in here. It will likely be the last, given the state of things.
Yeah, I don't know what she was doing for meals before this, but she was not cooking in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of diplomatic delivery services.
Yeah.
Diplomatic dash,
Yeah.
That said, Quinny, your eyes do continually, to your point, as you're balancing these things, as you're cooking, continue to dart back to the very clear Eldritch Blast mark on the wall that looks deeply familiar, both from your own use, but also from the gap that used to be long on Geese's skull. Yep. You finish cooking your meal, and you find her sitting in that sort of front sitting room where you two first sort of met and talked. And she is drinking a like almost a putrid smelling brew of some sort. It's like a tea sort of, but similar. It's what you'd imagine fucking Reginald would brew. Just some grueling wake you up, liven your senses for war kind of somewhere between a coffee and a tea. So it's just kind of the worst of both worlds.
Okay.
But she's sipping from that and looking over like the equivalent of a newspaper. But as soon as you enter, she just squeezes it in her hand and it bursts into flame and turns to ash. And she just kind of crinkles it into like a garbage can next to her. And you can see like other piles of ash. And she just says, just reading the latest from Vasa. No concern of a minister of culture. And she takes a sip.
Oh, you get those, magically delivered to you?
Well, we were otherwise occupied last night. Chompy met a messenger about halfway. It's rather far to Vasa, so no, it's rather more mundane than that. But luckily, we have all manner of winged beasts, so it's rather easy to get news from home when we so desire.
Okay. Good news, I hope?
Just no reaction. And she just sips.
All right. Eggs and toast. Simple, but I seasoned them, so they should be good.
Yeah. She goes like, okay, like not a big deal, takes a bite, and you just watch her eyes go wide as a person who's never encountered seasoning before, and just kind of, but how? These are just... Quinny, we determined last night that you're very good at a lot of things.
I do have expertise in a couple skills, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's just say your proficiency is showing. And she just like hoovers this down the same way, any soldier does, where it's like, it's a job. Like that first bite is great. And then it's just like, this needs to be accomplished. Is there anything you'd want to talk to her about as the two of you share your meal?
Ooh, I mean, that stone wall was a pretty good indicator of how these questions might go, but I will. I'll say Quinny will say, last night was nice.
She grins a little devilishly and says, I don't know that I would choose the word nice, but yes, it was.
Ryan.
Ryan's throwing up hands here in the video. If you haven't watched the video for the past two episodes,
for that face or that gesture.
I know we're an audio first medium.
Oh my
but
God.
Rest assured, there's an entire fucking commentary track happening visually in both these episodes. So
Yeah.
go check it out.
Yep. To each other, like we switched.
This is great.
Yeah.
This is all wonderfully good visual Lotzi for our all audio show. Great. Thank you for that.
Quinny will say, well, yeah, I mean, we can argue semantics, but whatever it was, I liked it.
And she takes a sip and just says, yes, I don't think we need to bother arguing the semantics. I also liked it. It was very pleasant.
All right. How much longer are you in the kingdom for?
Well, I need to ensure that those assholes from Demarran don't sway your... No, I'm just going to say it. Impressionable friend. Bobbert does seem to have kind of come into his own, but I do fear that his cheerful demeanor will lead him down all manner of useless entanglements, and I do fear that he could be swayed by certain folks, particularly with talk of unification and such things. Speaking of, it was Longadon who tried to have me killed last night, wasn't it?
I really can't say. There's some pieces missing that make this seem less concrete than I initially thought it was. So I really can't say. Not for certain.
Well, I would recommend that you do let me know when you do get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, I'll just have to kill all the envoys, and that will ensure that the correct one dies. So if you want to avoid that level of diplomatic clusterfuck, I would recommend giving me at least a hint. I would truly hate to have to report back to the other Warlock Knights that there was an outstanding assassin with diplomatic immunity running around like the stage play Lethal Weapon 2. She sips.
Right, yeah. You haven't, in the spirit of, mutually giving each other a heads up, you haven't started doing that to anyone yet, have you?
Quinny, I was waiting for you to come by and give me a mutual heads up last night, so no, I haven't, but if I don't hear any results, I absolutely will start knocking on doors. Or rather, Chompy will knock on the door, and then I will fly through it. As much fun as it was stabbing a couple of those fuckers last night, I really can't abide attempts on my life, particularly in a nation that is so eager to make friends of the Warlock Knights.
Nor should you have to abide attempts on your life. I was just wondering what your, I know what you're here to do, which is to make sure that, Demarran Envoy doesn't overly influence the king. I was curious about what your methods might be, and it sounds like they would be murder instead of, counter-influencing or something like that. It's murder.
Aka and Vasa have been rhyming pals for quite some time, Quinny, and I really was just sent here to ensure that would continue and to check in on my dead and now alive friend Reginald. And it turns out he's still dead, and his idiot brother is running the place. And admittedly, the idiot brother is pretty good at running the place, which is nice to see. And I'm sure Vasa would be very happy to keep up its close relationship with Assguard. And again, I really can't stress this enough. You do need some friends out here, Quinny, because it's going to get pretty bleak pretty fast. Cormyr is just one of many very, very, very large powers out here that is all too eager to push over the small upstart nation that, waged war on the planet for a bit So, no, that was my main goal, and it seems that Bobbert is quite reasonable, and again, I'm more than happy to report back that things are fine, but I don't love hearing there are some puzzle pieces missing, so I can't tell you who tried to kill you, but I've got a pretty good idea who it is. I'm just not going to tell you. Oh, fuck you, but I'm not going to give you any information. I mean, that's not really how a honeypot situation works, first of all. Second of all, as you proved last night when it took you several hours and a nap to not kill a man, your methods are a little bit slow and ineffectual for my tastes, aside from the notable examples of after you got back, which were not too slow nor too fast. Just right. Good job. All that to say, either you give me a head or I will go find one.
All right. Quinny will stand up, gulp down the rest of... He made some coffee for himself and finishes the breakfast and just sets the dish on... he looks around... thinking back to the kitchen situation, he'll just he'll throw the dishes over his shoulder, just like, all right, just throw them over his shoulder and says, I guess I better get to work then. He'll walk across the room, lean into Vinton while she's sitting in her chair and give her a kiss and say, I'll see you later, and head out the door.
And just as you walk out the door, she's like, do love watching you break furniture. And then she mage hands the door shut behind you. So you arrive back at the council chambers. Butthole, Reginald, Juniper are all in attendance and waiting. Quinny, you arrive, I assume kind of heralded probably by Annan, who lets them know that you're on approach. Is there anything you want to do?
Secret.
Yeah, I assume you go straight there.
Yeah.
Great. So you stride into the council chamber.
Morning, everyone. Hope I'm not late. I see everyone else is here. Yeah, sorry. And I'll go find a seat.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of late, but I'm sure whatever you were doing was important. So, we have a missing envoy. I don't know where they are, and this could cause a war. We need to find Raish Grey.
Raish Grey?
Raish Grey is missing, correct. The other thing could also cause a war, but I have that one slightly more in hand than just a missing envoy altogether.
Okay, then. I've got a little bit of information from that thing last night, if you want to talk about that at some point. But I don't have anything on Raish Grey as of right now, so I can get started on that.
Cool. Do it. We need Raish Grey right now. Raish Grey, we know, checked out to attend the party last night. Never checked back in. That's all I got. Annan's got people combing the streets. I don't know what else we could do other than stuff that might fall in the Minister of Culture zone. Yeah, I don't think this is really going to be something the military could solve, especially now that there's a small number of people who are peacekeepers, so we're not really going to do the door-to-door thing and maintain that terribly long.
All right, then.
Tom, can you remind me, Raish Grey's pronouns are...
Yeah, they, them.
They, them? Okay.
Yeah.
So, I've seen Raish Grey up close before, and I got a pretty good look at them. I think if I... Honestly, I've got a pretty good spell. If I could just grab a horse, ride around the city for an hour... I might be able to locate them if they're still here.
All right, that sounds like a pretty clever plan. Use the ones from the stables and not the new ones that I brought in with the hammerers. Those horses are terrible.
Oh, okay.
Also, we're going to have to deal with the Good Works Corporation eventually, but not today. Okay, we're going to table the Good Works Corporation. Yes, go take a horse. Do you need, people to go with you, or is this just a solo thing?
I mean, it's something that it's really just myself. I mean, it would probably be good to have backup in case I do locate them and something's gone wrong with them or around them.
All right, well, why don't I...
Violent in nature. Yeah?
Well, Quinny, you've got to sort out cultural things.
Yeah.
Do you have an angle on that?
Not yet, but I can work on that.
Okay, work on that now, because we need to make this fast. Reginald could go with Juniper to go ride around town and do whatever that is, and now I got a meeting to talk about a magic school. Also, we need a magic school. There you go, you're all caught up.
Okay.
Oh.
We're short on wizards. Fallenmeyer Pinkblossom made some good points. We need wizards. Otherwise,
This
the
would be a
Planteers,
good time
who
to
are all
call
wizards.
Alan in for some assistance.
I would love to do that if Alan would pick up the phone, but right now I have to have a 12-year-old somehow solve how to...
her?
I'm supposed to try and reach her with the help of Seamus. We're trying to get the Raven Gate things to work, and she'll be able to help us out with that, but it's, it's been tricky getting the message.
There isn't really a clear way to communicate with Alan otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'll keep the child trying to solve the portal problem. You go ride around on a pony, and Quinny, do cultural stuff.
Okay. Sounds good. I have a question, Tom. Is Bucky present right now, or is Bucky not in this room? I don't know. Who's
that's
on
a
the
Ryan
council.
question, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Bucky had not originally been summoned to this meeting, no.
Okay, good. So yeah, Quinny will stand up after having just sat down. He's like, well, I'm ready to go if that's everything.
I think it is. This is a bit of a hot mess. We need Raish Grey because I can't do anything diplomatically about Longadon Geese until Raish is found.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sounds good. Have we checked Raish's room for any clues as to where Raish might be?
I would suggest if we want to do that, we either need to do that in a way no one is aware of, or we would have to get Sildar and or Culkin to back us on that. Right now, I'm not comfortable with us opening up an envoy's place to search for clues, because they're going to have a whole bunch of diplomatic papers that we're not supposed to be looking at.
Got it. All right, well, no one's supposed to go in there. Anyway, I'm going to go take a walk. Quinny walks out of the council chamber.
All right. So, Quinny, you're headed to Raish Grey's room. Can you roll me a...
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. I always snark about this, but can you roll me a stealth check, please?
Yeah, man. That's a natural one, so I'm going to re-roll that.
Yep.
That is another natural one.
Fuck off.
The 1 in 400.
Happened. Push the button. Balloons come down.
Yeah.
I'm just Al Gore celebrating selling one book.
Yeah.
Finally happened. Double nat ones.
I will.
Hell yeah, there you go. You're picking up what I'm putting down. Wow.
300
Quinny.
plus episodes, 7 seasons. Halfling luck runs out.
Yeah. What do I got?
Well, it's 'cause
What do
he
I
got
that lets
lucky
me
last
roll
night.
again? I got nothing.
All right.
So
Oh my God.
I sneak down the hallway with a marching band.
This is not a morality tale about having sex, whatever. Like this is
No,
not.
it's not like a horror movie where you get punished for having sex.
Banging pots and pans together. Yeah.
All right.
I'm checking Raish Grey's room. It's really loud. Sorry, I will let you tell me how I fuck up. Sorry.
I mean, look, I like all these options. These are all good options. Okay, so yeah, Quinny, you stealth your way down the hall, and you're so fucking good at stealth, you never need to worry about it. You're the best at it.
Yeah.
You stealth down the hall, and sleight of hand the lock on the door,
Oh.
and make your way inside to Raish Grey's room. The room itself seems kind of like a hotel room you didn't spend any time in. So it's the kind of hotel room where like the bed has been slept in, and the chair in the corner has been moved around. There are a couple of plates and cups, but very clearly not a space that they unpacked in or really settled in too much. Just enough for necessity's sake, really. Unlike, say, Bluebeard, turning the place into his office and what have you. Mm-hmm. So that's what you get at first glance. What would you like to do in the room?
Get a sense of what Raish might have been up to prior to leaving. So if there's a desk, I'll kind of check the drawers of the desk, just looking for any kind of letters or communications or anything like that. Yeah, what else would I look for to give me an indication of where Raish's head would be at? Yeah, I think I would start by looking for like external communications and things like that, to see what letters they were trying to send or what like letters they would have received while being here. I guess.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an investigation check, please.
Investigation. 16 plus 6. 22? 22.
22? Okay. So looking around the room, you do find a few papers here and there, largely seeming to do with the judgment of Aka. So, there's a couple pages from a briefing on the Plantier, the Akka Plantier War. You see a stray page about the Lich Fall, and then just a random page about local flora and fauna, very Arrakis, Dune, desert planet, like just some basic briefing documents.
Okay.
Otherwise, you don't find much. Again, it really does feel like a room that was passed through rather than inhabited.
Okay. What else can I look for? I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to think of like, it's weird to think of like evidence of intention left in the room. Letters and that kind of thing is like the most literal thing of like someone being like, tonight I'm going to sneak out, and then when I get back I'll send you this letter, kind of whatever bullshit. What else? Oh, you know what? Quinny found out that Fallenmeyer is a harper, so he'll go through Raish's clothes to see if there's a harper seal or anything like that, any kind of harper livery that might have been packed to spring on us or something like that, to be like, the Harpers, gotcha.
Cool. You open the closet to discover no clothes, and I need you to roll a wisdom save.
What?
Wisdom save, you say? That's a total of 9.
Cool. As you
Love
open
these dice. Love them.
As you open the closet and sort of peer inside, you just have that moment of, seeing a couple of hangers, but again, very unlived in hotel room. And as you kind of reach in to start move the hangers aside, you realize that your arm doesn't respond. And as you try and move your body, you realize that none of your limbs are responding. You are in fact frozen in place. And behind you, you hear the door close and the lock click as that fucking 1 comes into play.
There we go, baby.
And a voice just says, "Now this really does seem a little out of character for a minister of culture, even one as shady as yourself, Mr. Brown Barrow." Meanwhile, Butthole, Sildar was called up to meet you. And after you clear the council chamber, I believe your order of operations was him and then talk about magic school, or do you want to talk about magic school?
Yeah, we got to deal with this race gray thing 100% first, then magic school.
So Sildar arrives and just says, "Oh, yes, King Butthole, I've been requesting an audience for some time. Do you have any information about the whereabouts of Longadon Geese? He apparently hasn't left his room since the celebration yesterday, which is quite unlike him. The other members of the Lord's Alliance are somewhat concerned that an envoy is arrived late and then hasn't been seen. Obviously, he doesn't fall under my auspices, but it's rather concerning, don't you think?"
I would be concerned about that, but Raish Gray didn't check in last night.
What?
So Longadon Geese didn't leave. Raish is not here. I don't know what's going on.
What do you mean Raish Gray didn't sign? What? And he just, like, in kind of classic tour guide who has a couple of tourists who are like, "But I want to pet the tiger," just like drags hands back through his long gray hair. And he just says, "Well, where the fuck did they go?"
That's a great question. So I don't know where they are. I've got a bunch of people searching the streets right now, out there looking around very quietly. I've got somebody going around with a magical solution. I've got people looking into it in other ways. I wanted to keep this between you and me until we could solve this issue, because I don't think this looks great for either of us. I'm really just worried about Raish. Do you know anything about Raish Gray? Because I don't know anything about them in terms of where they like to go, what they like to do, weird habits, gambling debts, anything.
And again, Sildar's just so fucking done with this shit. And it's just... Raish is an idealist, an upstanding citizen of Baldur's Gate. And I must tell you that is not a term that gets thrown around a lot. An upstanding citizen of Baldur's Gate is a rare and strange thing to find. But as far as I know, they deeply deeply care about what is right. That's part of the reason why they are here, is to ensure that the correct judgment is levied, and that if you are in fact welcomed into the Lord's Alliance, it is under the correct auspices. All of my reports suggest they've resisted any attempts at bribery or corruption. I'm aware of no gambling debts, nor would I have brought anyone on this mission who had gambling debts, because that's fucking asking to be blackmailed. So they are, I don't know what to tell you. I don't understand why they wouldn't be here.
Okay, are they religious?
Sorry?
Are they religious? Like, do they have any positive habits? If they're on the good person side, like, would they check out the hospital? Would they go check out the church that's being built? Is there anything like that?
I'm unaware of any particular religious leanings, but yes, it is possible, particularly given all of the signs you're making towards improvement and trying to turn a car around into a better Assguard. It is entirely possible that they could have sought to experience or to observe firsthand what you're doing, particularly coming from a place like Baldur's Gate. They have a clear vision of how these processes can be corrupted. That's entirely possible. Butthole, where's the clearest place that a cause is striving for idealism? What is the biggest shift you've made that would signal the biggest move from a nation of war to a nation of culture? Perhaps that's where we could start.
I mean, logically, I'd probably say disbanding the army and creating a small unit of hammers as peacekeepers feels like the biggest leap from country of war.
Is there somewhere these people are being trained or recruited? How public is that knowledge?
The hammers are relatively... we announced last night that the army was being disbanded, so there's that. The Colosseum's been turned into a prison where we're trying to do rehabilitation to improve people, because historically, Assguard in its previous iterations just executed people, which we were not a big fan of. The military has barracks downstairs.
From my briefings, I understand that there was a health concern here in Akka before you deposed the Lich Lords. If I understand correctly, the mortal folks were being rather ill-treated in favor of the undead. Is there a hospital, perhaps? I
mean, it's abandoned, but hell yeah, there's a hospital like around the corner. We could go there.
Well, if it's abandoned, I don't know that they would go. Perhaps the Colosseum is your best bet. Again, I will admit, I thought that the dum-dums were going to be the most herd of cats situation I ever had to deal with. These envoys are a whole other matter. They all come with their own personal interests and things they want to see and do, and if they would just stay in their rooms, this would all be so much easier.
Okay, I'll send runners to look for Raish. We can see if they're at the hospital, or if they're at the barracks with the hammers, or if they're at the barracks where the old military is, or just all of these locations. If kind of anywhere with a change, I'll send somebody to go to the Adamantine Mines, the Forge, all that stuff.
Yes.
I'll order that through Annan. I have a meeting that I have to take, and then I am going to be good to go with you if you want to go check out this Colosseum if we haven't heard anything.
I need to speak to the other envoys, explain the situation, and see if they can provide any additional information. I mean,
is there any way I can convince you to not do that in the short term so we can try to solve this problem?
My loyalty is to the Lord's Alliance, not to your particular brand of problems. Can you roll me a... Well, what do you want to go with here, bud? There are the three options, as always. You've got...
it's persuasion. He's not trying to fuck with them in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
He will subtly fart a guidance onto himself.
Appropriate. Expected.
19.
All right, so that's a successful roll. How does Butthole convince Sildar?
I am in a sensitive position. As you've seen, the army of Cormyr outside, there's a lot of people who are looking for an excuse to make a diplomatic solution impossible. And I believe that diplomacy is in the best interest of this nation and also the Lord's Alliance, who can find a valuable ally in this community. We just need time. I don't actually think anything bad happened, but if people decide something bad happened, or word gets out and enemies decide to try to find Raish Gray, whatever, if we could solve this problem and bring them back everybody's in a happy way. My best hope, Raish Gray, they met somebody cute, they went, had a nice night, and are just sleeping in that bed. And if we can solve that problem and avoid a diplomatic incident, also making Raish Gray quite happy, instead of everyone in the Lord's Alliance knowing if it's their new romantic relationship, then we can hide that. I just don't want to make it a big thing, because right now, what would normally be a casual, no-problem conversation could become something very, very large and dangerous.
And
it's been a weird week.
Sildar nods. He says, it has indeed. Fine. I will not let the other envoys know for now. Most of them are sleeping off last night anyway, so the fog of who knows, maybe someone got lucky, will probably buy us a bit of time at the very least. But please, if you do hear anything, let me know. This is...
Oh, you're getting the first message. I'm not interested in secrets here.
Wonderful. That is refreshing and appreciated. I will deal with this as best I can. Good luck with your other meetings, I suppose.
Thank you. We'll get this solved quickly.
Yes, we must. And then he swoops his cloak kind of badly and walks out. Juniper.
Yeah.
You and Reginald are going horseback riding in search of Raish. And you mentioned you have a spell that could work for this.
Yeah, so Juniper has the ability to locate creature. So it's a spell that she casts on herself, and it can last up to an hour. So all she has to do is describe or name a creature that's familiar to her. And it can be like a specific creature. Yep. So it would be Raish Gray. You sense the direction to the creature's location as long as that creature is within 1,000 feet of you. If it's moving, you know the direction of its movement. Or if the creature you described or named is in a different form, such as being under the effects of a polymorph spell, the spell doesn't locate a creature. And then if there's water in the way, but there's no fucking water.
Yeah, that's an easy one to dodge in this particular climate. Yeah.
So her goal is, because it lasts for up to an hour, her goal is to basically just ride around, just trying to sense the presence of Raish Gray and just try to cover as much of the city as she can. So basically galloping through the streets.
I love it. How very Paul Revere of you. Do you bother to tell Reginald, or is Reginald just following Juniper, riding around wildly?
No, I'd absolutely let him know.
Great.
Yeah.
And you could start explaining the specifics, and after, I've got a spell that can cast. He's like, okay, we're good. If you got an hour, let's just ride these motherfuckers.
Yeah. All right. So, Juniper and Reginald, you take off into the streets of Assguard, and occasionally hearing the sounds of a chant that has lasted through the night of Paisley, Paisley, coming from the old campaigner. The two of you begin your sort of grid search of the city. And Juniper, not unlike when you tried to sort of seek out magic when you looked at the staged Wyvern attack site, you get absolutely no trace of Raish Gray. And the two of you cover the whole mini-map. You hit all the viewpoints, you fast travel to all the different locations. And it's pretty, I think, again, knowing your tracker instincts as well, it's pretty clear when someone is the fuck out of Dodge, and they are the fuck out of Dodge. That said, I'm curious if, Juniper, you and Reginald talk about this as you're riding, because I think it's one of those things where once you get a sense of it, it's like, shit, I bet they're gone, but we should really cover the rest of the grid. But that does leave the two of you some time to formulate theories.
Juniper is hopeful and focused the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reginald, how about you?
Raish Gray.
I can't distract her while she's doing this. We gotta find this fucking idiot and bring them back to the castle. And he's also Reginald. Juniper's hopeful the whole way through. Reginald, 10 minutes in, after we hit the major areas, is like, well, this doesn't bode very fucking well, because if you're important, you stay important places. He's also got horde logic, which is no important person would go to this neighborhood.
Fair point.
when they getting to the end of the hour, he's like, okay, so it doesn't look like we found them. Do you think? So that means like they're not here, which is bad, but they're not in town. If they were dead, would you know if there was a body?
I'm not sure. I mean, here's the thing. When a creature dies, are they still...
Technically they're an object.
Yeah,
even
and there's a different spell called locate object. So if we're playing that fucking math, that Calvin ball we've established.
Okay, can you find objects like you can find people? We do the same hour, and you just keep saying, Raish Gray's body. He looks around to make sure no one can hear them.
Let me take a moment and meditate on that.
Yeah, look into your own mind. That sounds pretty clever on the scale of things. I'm going to theorize. Oh, sorry. I guess you did it pretty quick.
Actually, I think I can. I was honestly thinking they were probably still alive.
Yeah, I was hoping that too, but we're going to need to rule this one out. Otherwise, it's a very different problem.
Now, this only lasts for 10 minutes, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, you can go ahead and cast it, but I'm going to go ahead and rule that even though we made the exception for grim psychometry, I'm not going to make the same exception for locate object, because that just means that literally any mystery will just be like over there. So you cast it and you ride around for a bit more, and you do not find Raish Gray's body with magic or your eyes.
All right, so we know Raish Gray, they're not in town, and their body is not in town. That means they're somewhere else. Perhaps they were a part of this horrific conspiracy, or they left, or something else happened, and we just hope for a ransom note. It's a positive option for us, because we have adamantine, and I will kill whoever kidnapped them.
If they were blasted into nothingness, I also...
No, we found evidence of that everywhere, and we didn't check the room, but I'm assuming we would have got, like, some sort of weird sneaky bird or whatever.
Here's the thing. They're not in the city. Either they've left or they're dead. In either case, I think we can take back their room.
I mean, technically, there are more cases, which is like they were taken. And I don't actually think we can do that. I think we can get Sildar to do that because he's a part of the Lord's Alliance. Otherwise, we've broken diplomatic law and started war. Okay, so we go back to give the worst possible news.
Let's go.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, lauraehamstra at ELHamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, Gus Schreider, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Old Man Mojo, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.